The Straw Hat Pirates' worst nightmare has begun. Out at sea, the Navy saw large lightning bolts striking the center of the island. Some soldiers witnessed it firsthand and believed the phenomenon was identical to how St. Saturn had landed on the island earlier. Nearby, a giant archer was still firing numerous arrows at the Navy's warships, each arrow the size of a mast, making them incredibly powerful. Another giant warrior took the opportunity to jump onto the remaining ships to destroy them all. Inland, the group of giants was excitedly heading towards the center of the island, with dangerous lightning flashes before them, signaling that Luffy needed help. Even Frankie's group had to stop, worried about their friends. Luffy, at this moment, looked surprised, not understanding what had happened, as 4 extremely dangerous dark shadows appeared around him. Sanji exclaimed that something unusual was happening in this place, and therefore they had to leave as soon as possible. At this point, Dr. Vegapunk's recording was still ongoing, broadcast live from Mary Joy's, and it was known that no one could stop this live broadcast. However, the current appearance of the 4 leaders of the world government has put Egghead at risk of destruction. Saturn was continuously attacking Luffy, but he kept dodging. The dark shadows behind him began to reveal their true forms. Seeing this, Luffy was deeply shocked, thinking they were 5 giant monsters. Frightening sounds emanated from within the thick smoke. Luffy stood there, waiting to see what would happen next. In his mind, he felt as if he was being swallowed by the darkness of the 5 monsters. One by one, the different forms of the 4 newly summoned beings appeared. These are the forms of the rulers at the head of the world government. The 5 monsters including Jew Peter in the form of a sandworm, Marcus Mars in the form of a bird, Warcury in the form of a pig, Nusjuro in the form of a horse, and finally Saturn in the form of a spider. When these 5 monsters appeared together, destruction had begun. Their roars pushed Luffy back. The buildings also could not withstand it, and collapsed. With his abilities, Luffy easily escaped the rubble. However, standing before him was the massive body of the enemy. At the start of the battle, just the 5 monsters walking past Luffy forced him to dodge. These are the supreme judges of the world government. If this continues, the entire island will be destroyed. Luffy demanded that they stop. He then enhanced his body, transforming into a giant form to fight. However, Saturn used a special skill, an attack with his gaze, to defeat Luffy. Just like that, his large body shrunk back to its original form. Nusjuro then, with incredible speed, jumped over Luffy, and Luffy was also thrown far away by the pressure. With his speed, he reached the battle on the coast, where the pacifistas were still attacking the Navy warships. The damage was immense, which is why Nusjuro had to rush to help. He transformed into a centaur and used a sword to attack. The high-speed slash instantly froze the pacifista's body. This ability is somewhat similar to Brook of the Straw Hat Pirates. Just like that, a series of cyborgs were neutralized by Nusjuro, unable to function. His movement speed was so fast that Navy soldiers couldn't even see what was happening. In this way, the world government faction was able to retain all the pacifistas so that the damage would not increase. The battle on the coast was considered over as the cyborgs had part of their bodies frozen. The soldiers at this time also saw the giant horse form, but Nusjuro disappeared immediately afterward. Inside, Luffy was blown away once again by Marcus Mars. At the same time, Sanji had contacted Nami and Robin. He didn't know how to explain what was happening below, warning of a great danger approaching them. He asked them to escape immediately, and the giant bird also separated to do the same work as Nusjuro. The Marines were happy to regain the upper hand, as they could now avoid unnecessary battles with the cyborgs. The Vice Admiral ordered everyone to quickly find Bonnie and destroy the Straw Hat Pirates. Above, after flying to the shield, the giant bird let out a cry signaling that something bad was about to happen, and Sanji was also trying to run back to regroup with his teammates. He said that an extremely dangerous monster was flying towards them, so they should retreat immediately. Even Sanji had become a target of lightning attacks. Nami was worried that the remaining members had not yet arrived, and Usopp then heard a loud sound coming from behind him. Along with that was Lilith's scream, and Chopper wondered what was happening. Just then, their sunny ship rushed out, shocking the three friends, while Brook was still happily enjoying the thrill of the ship speeding away. Lilith begged someone to stop this. Back to Luffy's battle in his Sun God Nika form, Saturn began to feel annoyed as his opponent easily dodged his attacks. Seeing this, Jupiter stepped in to help, trying to swallow Luffy, but he still escaped. Luffy realized that his opponent was an earthworm that could hide underground, and because he couldn't predict where Jupiter would appear, he was thrown into the sky. Just like that, Luffy fell into the mouth of the giant monster. The scene then shifted to the beach, where only a few cyborgs were still active. However, they were soon defeated by Nuzjuro, and the giant bird turned its body into fire and plunged straight into the protective shield to find Vegapunk's broadcast device and destroy it. Inside, Usopp still didn't realize this and contacted Sanji, saying that Brook and Lilith were temporarily there with them and the sunny ship. Brook confidently said, "See, I told you it would be fine," and Lilith scolded him for saying that when Usopp was the one who stopped the ship. Before that, when the sunny ship rushed over, he used a type of bullet that grew trees to stop the ship, and they were also planning to leave according to the original plan. However, Zoro was still fighting, and Jinbei was going to call his teammate back. Sanji was angry when he heard this, and he asked Jinbei about the situation there, and he said he understood the situation. "Even if their battle is not over, I will force Zoro back." Hearing this, Sanji was somewhat relieved. At the same time, the two powerful warriors were still competing. Lucci continuously used speed to attack, but Zoro still blocked it. His opponent ran around, creating a smokescreen to obscure his vision, and then launched a powerful kick that cut down all the surrounding trees. Zoro also responded with 3 continuous slashes, and as the two sides rushed at each other, they suddenly felt someone extremely powerful attacking this place. In contrast to Zoro's uneasy feeling, Lucci was extremely excited, realizing that it was one of the 5 leaders of the world government. In the next slash, Zoro let go of his sword, and both sides seemed tired, as they couldn't decide a winner. Lucci thought that Zoro was distracted because he felt the terrifying haki, which was covering the entire island. Jinbei had arrived at this point and saw the battle between the two, and Lucci continued to attack with long-range moves. Zoro had to dodge, so he was approached by his opponent, and the battle was still very balanced, with neither side at a disadvantage. Jinbei informed Sanji about this, which annoyed him, as he thought Zoro was putting the entire crew in danger, calling Zoro useless without realizing that he had heard it. Zoro, fueled by his anger, wanted to unleash a finishing blow in the next move. Lucci completely failed to notice the change in his opponent and continued to charge in to attack, but even after throwing hundreds of punches, Zoro still dodged them all. He built up momentum and slashed with all 3 swords, and in that moment, Lucci realized he was the loser. Zoro successfully cut through his opponent, causing him to collapse, and Jinbei was incredibly surprised to witness this. At the same time, Luffy had fallen into the monster's belly. He tried to escape, but was bitten by the earthworm's teeth. Fortunately, he was still able to escape. Luffy said he didn't taste good, so don't eat him like that. As soon as he finished speaking, Saturn controlled Luffy and slammed him straight towards Warcury, and just like that, Luffy's head collided with the head of the giant pig. Once again, he was swallowed by Jupiter. Fortunately, Brogy and Dorry were present at this time. Hearing Luffy's cries for help from inside the earthworm's belly, the 2 giant warriors rushed in to attack. Saturn and Warcury also stood up to compete, but Dorry and Brogy easily fended them off. In terms of strength, they were not inferior. The 2 giant warriors then threw the 2 monsters directly at each other. They continued to rush towards Jupiter and unleashed their ultimate move, cutting the earthworm into 3 parts. Thanks to this, Luffy was freed, which made him very happy. After seeing the 2 old giant men, Luffy also greeted them, as it had been a long time since they had met. Dorry said we couldn't stand by and watch the Straw Hat Pirates in danger, so we came here